Alright everyone, this is September for a Jedi, and today we're going to go over, and I'm gonna ramble on a little bit maybe, just give me full warning on that, of the High Republic. Now, before I go anywhere further, let me first say, but now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss some of the things that we know so far from the trailer that has been released about a few days ago on the new comics, books, and things like that. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that have been seen on this board right here. So let me go ahead and get the one thing out of the way first that can be slightly controversial, and it can be controversial on either sides of any political agenda thing here and there. This is going to be a very tough subject for me to explain what I think and things like that. First things first, let me say, diversity in itself is not a bad thing. In fact, it can be a very good thing, but it's all in execution. The characters need to be good and need to be likable, and so we can feel for them. But if the character comes off in a way as they have a high moral ground,
Anakin, I have the high ground. You underestimate my power. Don't try it.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
or come off too preachy, it can turn a lot of people away. And that has done that a few times, especially within the new canon. And it can cloud a lot of things. And there's some people that don't even like the idea of diversity, period. And there's people who say we need diversity. And there's people that are so up here and just... and their things can cloud their judgment on this subject matter. And I don't want to go too in depth. I figured I should at least mention it and give somewhat of my thoughts on it. But I don't want to linger on it too much. Guys, you can have your opinions on this either way, but at least let's just try to keep it civil as much as possible in the comment section. And hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Let's move into something that's a little more funnier, and that is the whole dinosaurs exclamation point. What do they mean by dinosaurs? Hopefully they just mean dinosaur-like. Because you can take some real-world influences, and there is real-world influences in Star Wars, especially in the early stages of before Star Wars even existed. There's been concepts like samurai or knights and the hero's journey and things like that, of different things, of different influences and things like that that shape the galaxy. So more likely I'm just getting a feeling this is probably just going to be dinosaur-like creatures. But remember though, a lot of these might just be concepts of what they would like to see and things like that. So we'll just have to see. The other thing, droids. So if you're worried, yes, there's going to be droids. There will be droids. So all you droid fans, don't worry. Of course it's going to be droids. It's Star Wars. It's going to be weird. Especially in the High Republic, there should be a lot of technology in the High Republic. And stuff like that. Like, if it was something in the Old Republic, like way, 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 way back, then yeah, there might not be droids, or very, very low tech at least. But yeah, droids. The thing that I'm actually pretty excited about is having no single main character. A lot of people say this is going to be kind of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so hopefully there'll be plenty of characters that anyone can latch onto from different walks of life and things like that. Characters they can really relate to, which is going to be fun. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some characters that are going to be more liked than others, and some that might not be that great, period, but we'll just have to see. We don't know any specific about any specific character. In general, we just know of some of the factions and things like that that we'll be seeing. Now, I'm not going to focus too much onto this because there's been a lot of talks about each one of these things and what each of these things are going to mean and all that. Some taking it very positive, some people taking it very negative, some people in between. So I'm just going to move it on from here and just talk about some of the other things that we do know of. And one thing comes, one of the main factions that are coming in that's going to be kind of the major threat to the Jedi, and also more likely a threat to the Republic itself. And these are probably what's going to influence the Jedi from what they are at this time period, because from what we know, yes, it's pretty much established that the Jedi at this time period are very different than what they are in the prequel era. So, more likely, when we see the Jedi, it's gonna be very different philosophies, or just one single different philosophy compared to the prequel era Jedi. And we're gonna see how this new threat shapes them into what they become later on at that time period. This new threat is the Nile. The Nile have been described as space Vikings, and their whole motto is, you can't take it with you, but we can take it from you, which it's a pretty catchy thing to say. I kind of like that. What kind of threat are they to the Jedi? Well, more likely they will probably be a large faction. Is there any chance that any of them could be force sensitive? Maybe. There could be a chance that some of them could be force sensitive, maybe using the dark side. So we'll just have to see how the Nile are handled. Some of the concept art for the Nile is somewhat interesting. I actually really do like this one right here. A lot of people say it does kind of resemble a Gungan. Maybe it's a Gungan. It does have a look, especially I think kind of resembles like Gungan kind of ears, but for all we know, that could just be kind of like some kind of like cloth material in the back of the helmet. We do kind of see a similar shape to Gungans, or this could just be a species that kind of has a similar build, but is totally different from Gungans in general. But I'm totally down for seeing some badass Gungans, because Gungans can be pretty badass. Well, some.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice.
The Jedi in this time period have been described as kind of like Texas Rangers, or kind of similar to Knights of the Round Table, and this is going to be a point where the galaxy is not that well explored. So it seems in this new timeline in canon that the galaxy is not as explored as it much was in Legends. At least that's what I'm getting. So everything is going to feel new, not only to us, the readers, and to all those who pick up these books, but it's going to be new to the characters we're following. So we're going to hopefully see how these characters interact with some of these new discoveries, new aliens, new animals, new planets, climates, and things like that, different cultures. So we're going to see how these characters interact with these new things. And that's one thing I can say for the new canon, that there has been some pretty interesting design for aliens, and I say that for both Legends and canon, that there's always been pretty interesting concepts for alien design. So I think both are fairly equal. There's been some here and there in both timelines that may be kind of meh, but a lot of them I've been liking, so I'm pretty sure that we're going to see some pretty visually looking interesting creatures. Hopefully, since they're actually having people come together and actually discuss things, because that's one of the things with the sequel films with like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. They had two different ideas of what they want to see with the sequel films. But at least I do have faith that we will kind of get a story that is set on a certain goal, and they will hopefully not be wibbling, wobbling, and things like that, and changing things and stuff and just doing all these weird things that don't fit well, and we can at least get something where the story goes in one good line. That's the best way I can put it. One good line, and the narrative of the story will fit at least. One thing that I kind of would like to talk about when it comes to the art, and I just have to say, a lot of this art is looking pretty good. I am really liking a lot of these art designs. It seems that the Jedi have certain styles of clothing that they wear for certain things. When they're at a temple, they wear a certain set of clothing, and when they're out exploring, they have certain garbs they wear. So there has been some pretty interesting designs, and I've been liking that. And the other thing that I've been liking is some of the lightsaber designs. And we actually see a crossguard that makes sense. And when I say makes sense, when you look at something like what Kylo Ren uses, which is an ugly hilt in itself, and when I say ugly, I mean the hilt looks ugly. I'm actually think the two blades coming out with the energy beams does look pretty cool and interesting, but to me it doesn't seem as practical as in having a solid piece of metal, and hopefully a piece of metal that's actually made of a lightsaber resistant material, which will help protect the hand from lightsabers. Also, you can parry with it, and there's just so many cool things you can do with that. And on that note, I hope this is kind of like a wishful thinking on my part. I would kind of like to see, because I am a history guy, and I am interested in HEMA, historical European martial arts, and things like that. And hopefully they do take some influences from that when it comes to the lightsaber combat. Or at least we can see some references. Either they can take like some of the art pieces from like historical manuals talking about sword work, and kind of like put it in some of the art styles, some of the forms and things like that. But again, that's just wishful thinking. And one thing that would be kind of cool, but probably won't happen because, is half-swording. Now, if you're interested on what half-swording is basically when you have your hand on the hilt, and you take your hand and you grab the blade, and you can use it to steady things up so you can get in between gaps, or you can just take it by the blade in together and hit the person with the hilt. Now, the reason of that is swords in general back in the day, especially during the medieval period, a lot of them were either if someone did have the money for a sword was mainly a sidearm, and if it was used in battle, it would be a secondary weapon just in case if someone were to happen to lose their main weapon, like a poleaxe, mace, or something that actually will be good against like full-plated armor. Now, of course, you can say you can't grab a sword by the blade; you'll cut yourself. Well, guess what? You can. I will actually leave a link from Skallagrim. I'm actually going over that, so I don't go too crazy, I think, on detail and stuff like that when it comes to half-swording and things like that. Now, when it comes to lightsabers, that might be a different thing because it's an energy beam, and And we kind of already know what might happen. Alright everyone, so to keep this video from getting extremely long with all the other ranting I was doing, I'm just going to end it here for now. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I would like to hear what you guys think about both the trailer and maybe some of the things I said. As long as we can have like a good conversation, let's keep things civil on certain subject matters. But yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I hope I'll get to see you all again real soon. Hopefully. Oh, and yeah. Wookiees with lightsabers. We need more Wookiees with lightsabers. That is all. The Force will be with you always.